Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, going to have confessions of a hoarder. And yes, I do hoard. I hoard containers. Now, honestly, you probably have something in your life that you do hoard. And don't try to cover it up by saying, I'm a collector of that. There's a fine line between there, and you know when you cross over that line from being a collector to being a hoarder. So anyway, it's true. I've been hooked on hoarding containers since I was a little kid. And since I started drinking coffee, I have saved every single coffee can I ever bought in a store. I probably have them all somewhere around here. Every single one. No doubt in my mind. They used to be the perfect container to keep a hold of after you used up your coffee. So anyway, I also have saved, the other thing you use a lot is 5-gallon buckets. But let's go beyond coffee cans and 5-gallon buckets. Containers of all sizes are so handy to have, and there's 3 ways you can get containers as you need them. You can either buy them, which if you bought containers lately, they're not very cheap. You could make them. I have made more than my share of little small boxes in my career. And I will tell you, it's a labor of love, and more importantly, it's a lot of work. Making little boxes will take you a lot of time. You can make them very cheap, but they are a lot of labor intensive to make boxes like that in comparison to just buying them. The third way you can get containers is the way I do it, and that is I save them. I get containers from everywhere. In fact, I'm so fanatical about these containers as saving them. I have actually bought a product based on the container. It's true. You have too. You just forgot. Really, you have. I'll give you an example. When I was at the store, I looked at 2 products on the shelf of mustard. One had this type of container, one was the other type. And when I looked at them, believe it or not, there has been a time when I would say, I'm going to take that one only because that container instead. The mustard would be the same in both of them as far as I'm concerned. And as long as it has nothing to do with my palate, and it doesn't have to be a mustard, it could be something that's not edible. And you look at the 2 containers and you go, well, I'm going to buy that one because that container is a lot nicer container. I can use that afterwards. We've all done it. So anyway, yes, hoarding containers to me, it's actually an art. I have certain containers that I save a lot, and I seem to get them a lot, and it's amazing. This is one of my examples of the containers that I use. Oh, first off, before I talk about this one, real quick, remember, there's a container right there. That's a crate, milk crate, full of pharmaceutical prescription bottles. The little orange one that you can see through with the screw lid. Anyway, they're all over the place, and obviously, I get a lot of them over the years. I actually have a second container of those, so they're very handy though. Like now, I've been using them a lot in my hardware cabinet because instead of having dividers in there, I just use different containers, and I can just pick up a container if it has what I need. I can use it, but I can put so much more in there as a result of that. So containers of any size sometimes are very handy, and having consistent containers and saving them is always kind of cool too. For example, this is a container that who eats fruit that comes in these containers. She's been doing this for years. So guess what? I have a bunch of these, but I use them all over the shop. This one I put screws in. This one, it has some glue in it that I use so I can quickly pour out glue, whatever. This is the one I go to most of the time rather than going back to my main source when I'm just going to pour glue. And I keep this around the shop. I have so many of them around here. Check this out. Let's go take a look at my little compartment where I save my containers, because I save all kinds of containers. You never know what you're going to want to use it for. So I look at containers, and sometimes I say, I think that's worth saving. So let me show you. Let's go over here real quick for a moment. And this is my dry sink. Guess what? There's one of those containers. I keep these down here. They're usually full of water. And as they all get empty, then I take these in and refill them. And I just change it out for this one. This works like a water cooler. That way I've always got a lot of water here for water pressure. Anyway, another use I use them for. And I still got bunches of them in here. So, but I also have other containers that I might save. Yes, I'm sure there's a mustard bottle in there somewhere, at least one. But like this container I saved, most people would say, well, why are you saving anything? But actually, it helps if I could see it. But that's a great little container, quite honestly. It came from Harbor Freight. Go figure. What am I going to use it for? I don't know. But this is where I keep all of my odds and ends of containers. And I have all different kinds in there. And no, I don't save everything. But what I do save, that's usually where I go to rummage through. Sometimes this thing gets completely filled. Sometimes it's like now it's about half. And the more full it gets, then the less I save. So, and I try to weed it out of there. But saving containers is an art. It's not just hoarding. I find use for them. There's no doubt about it. And every time you turn around, I find new uses. So, but anyway, I don't know what you use in your shop for containers. Do you just buy them? You make them? Or do you hoard them? Anyway, I just thought I'd entertain us for a minute or two about containers. How to use them, why to use them. Also, one more quick example here. I have a bunch of these that we get too. This one was fruit, but I also get some that have sauce in them. They have a nice metal threaded lid. And I take these and I'll make lids for them out of a piece of wood. So the lid just fits down in there and I glue it in place. And now I turn this into a nice jar for spices or whatever. Or a set of them for setting up on a shelf for a crafts. To keep somebody to keep their crafts in. They have endless use. Now in the shop, I don't use these because they are glass. Around here that could be hazardous. I have learned over the years. But I do have these also, a bunch of these in plastic. And again, I have enough that I could do sets of them with a plastic instead of glass if I wanted to. So there's lots of things you can do with it. Sometimes you can actually turn them into money. But they are very handy to have around. These are, like I said, this one is my favorite. And one thing I love about it is the wide mouth when you're using it. So, tell me what you think. If you have any thoughts, any ideas, tell me what you use for containers for different things. It's always interesting. I'm always looking for ideas. So, don't be afraid to share them. If you learned something here, or you like this video, hit that like button. Tells me that I'm doing something right that way. So, and it doesn't really take much. So just hit that like button. Most importantly, though, please come back again because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll be rambling again pretty soon.